Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is February 17th, 2014. It's President's Day. Christina Bosanac is here with Stephen Skaggs, and another lovely day here in southern Florida. And we've been spoiled, Stephen, because the racing this past weekend was just so great, but we're gearing up for another really big weekend with the Fountain of Youth, the Devona Dale, coming up next Saturday. But before we'll start there, I want to get your insight on a race that they contested yesterday. It was the Grade 2 Sabin, and we can have a look at that race. And I loved this filly Devil's Cave getting into it. There's enough videotape out there to prove that I thought of this before the race actually ran, but she just ran them off their feet.
Right. Racehorse time. I think she set the track record yesterday. She just took it to him early. Javier Castellano got on her. I think Rosario had rode her the last couple races, so I think the instructions were to go, and they couldn't run with her.
You know, it's a really good point, because in her previous start in the Sunshine Millions Distaff, where Sweet and Discreet, who finished second yesterday, had got the jump on her, Devil's Cave was she was taken off the pace, and she didn't go. She wasn't asked to go as fast as she did yesterday, but she obviously wants to be up front, and she wants to be gunning. With
her running style also, the mile and the 16th here at Gulfstream Park, we have a shorter stretch, so I think that benefited Pletcher's filly in the mile and 8th race and helped Marty Wolfson's filly Devil Cave yesterday to get the Grade 3 for the Florida bred, so it was a very meaningful victory as well.
Yeah, it certainly was, and Marty said after the race that he thought that she could handle 9 furlongs, and I thought mile 16th was probably her best distance. However, the trainer should know. He says he thinks 9 furlongs will be no problem. She's going to be given a little bit of a breather before resurfacing likely in New York. But a very nice performance by Devil's Cave, and the connections, Alpha Delta and Marty Wolfson. But we've had a lot happening this weekend. Before we get into today's card, Stephen, regarding the works, the final preparatory works for the Fountain of Youth coming up this weekend, and commissioner from the Todd Pletcher barn, he was one that worked on Sunday, and 49 and change for four furlongs at Palm Meadows, and he's had 4 works, or this was his 4th work since his last race, and it was just a maintenance work. However, Todd he sounded like he was pleased with it.
Right, I'm sure Todd's already tightened him up as much as he needs to. This week is probably just a maintenance move, keep him from tearing down the barn. But I will say that Commissioner has won at a mile and 8 twice now, and he's going to be shortening up in distance. And like I said, the mile and the 16th here is a shorter stretch. So I'm sure that might be a concern for Todd, because it looks like his horse has the pedigree to win the Belmont, being by AP Indy out of a Touch Gold mare. So you might take a shot against him this Saturday with the cutback in distance.
In fairness, Todd did say that he thought that Commissioner's he's handier now than he was even a few weeks or probably a month or so ago. So he thinks that the mile and 16th shouldn't be much of a problem. However, you're right. It's always a consideration when we're betting these things. But also, Medal Count is another horse that we have to consider, because his hat was thrown into the arena. He worked on Saturday at Gulfstream Park, and Dale Roman said that he's probably going to be running too.
The horse is handling the dirt fine. I think, if anything, he wants to run as far as horses go. I think a mile and a quarter of the Derby distance suits that horse. We'll find out if he likes dirt as much as he did turf the other day in a horse race.
You know, another one of those top quality horses. Top Billing worked at Payson this morning, and he went 4 furlongs in about 50 and 2/5. So he's one to watch. And also, I know you were on hand. General A-Rod, he's going to be running, and he worked as well.
Right. General A-Rod has worked, I think his last 3 works were 5/8, and it seems like Maker's done something. Mike Maker, the trainer's done something different with him each time. His work 3 back was probably one of the best works I've seen down here. He went 59 that day. He did it right. Javier Castellano was aboard. And General A-Rod, he's 2 for 3 right now. His second to Conquest Titan, that was not bad defeat. So, I mean, I think he could take it to maybe Shug's horse and Pletcher's horse going into this race. I think General A-Rod is sitting on an A race.
It was a very exciting renewal of the Fountain of Youth this weekend. And we're going to jump into today's races, and we have a lot of action to cover. But we could start with that 20-cent Rainbow Six. There's a carryover. We're just under $1 million right now, at $966,000. $100. And so that's going to start in race 5 today. And so, Stephen, let's jump into the first race on the card, which is a 16,000 maiden claiming event. It is a mile on the turf course. And my top selection in here, I went with number 3, Alondra Sky. And I see that you went with the number 1, Nice to Regal.
Christina, I was between the 1 and the 3 in here. The 3, Alondra Sky, just ran a few days ago, February 12th. I think she'll be the sharpest horse in here, and she might show speed in this race, maybe make the lead. The reason I went with the 1 over the 3 is I like that Luis Saez is aboard. This is a filly by Henry the Navigator out of a Nureyev mare. That is a mile on turf all day. That's exactly what that pedigree is, and I like that this horse drops from maiden 25 to maiden 16.
And moving ahead to the second race on the card, it is a 35,000 claiming event. It is 6 furlongs on the main track. That kicks off the early pick 4. And my top selection in here, I went with number 6, La Marquesse from the Jose Garofalo barn. And coming into this off of a 5th place effort, although already has a win over this track. And I see that you went with number 5, Scripture in Verse.
Also ridden by Luis Saez. I need him to win the early double today.
I'm seeing a pattern.
I think the 4, though, Uli, is going to have the lead in this race, and she might take it to him. This track's fast right now, and she might be hard to catch, so look out for Uli with Dylan Davis aboard.
And I know that you also threw in number 2, No, You Never Learn. And I used all the horses that we just mentioned, probably just in a different combination. On to the third race on the card, which is a 12-5 maiden claiming event. It is 6 furlongs on the main track. And my top selection, we're in agreement here, Stephen, we went with number 4, Unleash the Talent from the Wesley Ward barn. And Ken and Sarah Ramsey, they had a few winners yesterday, so I think they had 3 winners yesterday. And so they have this 3-year-old gelding by Talent Search.
Right, only a few to choose from in this race. The 4, Unleash the Talent. I think Ken and Sarah Ramsey went 3 for 3 yesterday. Wesley Ward ran this gelding on the 4th of July at Gulfstream last year. A good third. That was in a maiden special weight. Today he triple drops the horse into a maiden 12-5 race. I don't think they plan on losing.
And what about Devil's Peak? I see that you used him. I certainly did, and he's getting a bit of a class break here.
Right, the son of Montbrook dropping from 25 to 12-5. I think he'll appreciate the class drop.
Moving on to the 4th race on the card, which is a 5 furlong event on the turf course, and it is a 62.5 allowance optional claiming event. And my top selection, I went with number 6, What a Party, from the Eddie Plisa barn, coming into this off of a 2nd place effort last time. That was on January 16th at this distance. And I see that you went elsewhere.
I went with the class of the field. The 1, Free as a Bird, trained by N. Wilkes, daughter of Hard Spun. She's actually twice stakes placed. Today she's in a 2 other than. She's 1 for 1 at Gulfstream. I saw a lot of speed in this race between the 3, 4, 6, and 7. I think the 1, Free as a Bird, outclasses this field. I expect her to win.
You also, now, a good question would be the distance. She's been going a little bit longer, and she's cutting back in trip. And how do you think that's going to affect her?
She'll appreciate it. She's showing speed in route races. I expect her not to be on the lead today, and I think the race should fall in her lap.
We're going to take a short break. We'll come back and have a look at the 5th race on the card that kicks off that Rainbow 6. It's going to be over $1 million today, folks.
The OBS March 2-year-old sale is the Grade 1 source to the world, with undefeated juvenile champion Asia Express in Japan, Grade 1 juvenile stakes winners by Conquistadore, Secret Compass, and Bondholder, King's Bishop winner Capo Bastone, and Breeders' Cup Sprint winner Secret Circle in North America. Make plans to find your next Grade 1 winner at the OBS Selected 2-year-old sale, March 10th and 11th. OBS, we measure success by performance.
ExpressBet brings you a whole new way to play the races. An easier, better way to wager on your favorite tracks. With a more streamlined interface for faster wagering. With more handicapping insights from our world-class experts. With more racetracks, nearly 200 to choose from. And with your personalized multi-view wagering screen, your tracks, your wager pad, and your video are all on one page. It's simply the best way to play the races. Your way. Welcome to ExpressBet. Your way to play.
We're back at Gulfstream. We're going to have a look at today's 5th race, which kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow 6. We have a carryover, and we'll be over $1 million this afternoon. And there is one jockey change. That's number 4, Sweet Gator Girl, getting the services of Luis Saez. My top selection in there, I went with numero 1, Double Berg, and I see we're in agreement here.
I'm with you, Christina. There's only a few horses in this race that have actually won at Gulfstream Park. The 1 and the 3, I thought it was between those two. I think the 3 will show speed in this race. Monero, I think she'll have the lead turning for home, and I'm hoping the 1, Double Berg, runs her down. Joe Orsino, Joe Bravo riding. Joe Bravo actually rode this horse last time. It was an off-the-grass race in the slop. Joe stayed on today. I think he gets the victory.
Yeah, I agreed, and I also used Monero in there. And I went with the 3rd spot, number 4, Sweet Gator Girl, is the one I threw in there. And I see that you used number 5, Snitfit.
Yeah, looking out to round out the trifecta with the 5, Snitfit. I like that Jose Lascano gets aboard. This filly's ran 5 times at Gulfstream with the 2nd and 3rd. I think she's perfect to suck up the Placer show spot.
And looking ahead to the 6th race on the card, which is a 62.50 allowance optional claiming event. It is a 5 furlongs on the turf course, and a couple scratches, number 5, Buongiorno Johnny, and number 9, Harbor Breeze. And that race kicks off the pick 5. And my top selection in there, I went with number 6, Mishmash from the Mike Maker barn, and Ken and Sarah Ramsey. They served me very well yesterday because I saw Mike Maker earlier in the afternoon, and I said, Mike, I hope you're going to have a good day because I'm all on board. And you know, it turned out, it worked out for both of us, actually.
Yeah, right. 3 winners for Maker and the Ramseys yesterday. Big day.
But you went with a number 2, it seems like a fast time.
Well, the 6, Mishmash, your pick here, is the best horse in here. The horse is 8 for 20, but I couldn't help but notice all the wins have come over a synthetic track. So I think the 6 is definitely the horse to beat, but the reason I chose against in this spot was the 0 for 3 record on the grass. The 2 fast time from the Lisa Lewis barn, Alex Solis riding. This horse is fast, it's coming off a layoff, runs well fresh, and I like the fact that the horse can pass horses. I saw a lot of speed in here. Horse gets blinkers, has a 9 on the sheets to go back to.
You know, another horse that I threw in there, number 8, to Petey Kramer, but I feel like you added another horse in the 2nd spot, and that's number 3, Padilla.
Right. I saw a lot of speed in this race. I thought the 6, 4, and 8 would hook up early, and it might set up for some closers in here. The 1, Starship Wildcat, the 3, Padilla. These are 2 horses on their preferred surface and distance, 5 furlongs on the grass.
Looking on to the 7th race on the card, which kicks off the late pick 4. It is an allowance test. It's a mile on the turf course, a scratch, and number 10, Oasis at Midnight. And my top selection in there, I went with number 1, Dauphine Russe, and who comes out of into this off of a 3rd place effort last time, but behind a couple of nice fillies, and I particularly liked her in Europe. She was running against some really, really nice horses. But Stephen, we're going to look at that latest race. Very good effort for a filly that was coming off a bit of a layoff.
Right. She's the class of this field. You mentioned some of the races she was in. She's been beat by some Grade 1 winners here, but it looks like she had a little bit of a troubled trip in that race. I expected her to win, though. I made her my best bet of the day. That day, she had run behind 3 Grade 1 winners in Altarite, Discreet Mark, and Flotilla. So today, I wasn't going to take her. She might beat me, but I went with the 7, Y Catherine. I love this mare. She's 3 for 4 at Gulfstream Park. Most of this field hasn't even won 3 races. Paco Lopez is aboard. She's Grade 3 place. Today is the day. 7, Y Catherine.
You know, I agree with you. Dauphine Russe, my thought with her was, as we were saying in Europe, even the horses that she was finishing behind, Flotilla won the Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies, or juvenile turf fillies here in the States, and you know, Tazaday, graded stakes winners, Alta Reach, she won a Grade 1 here in the States. So top quality horses, and I'm hoping she's going to advance off of that. But you mentioned Y Catherine. She's a stakes place. She's a graded stakes place, so she's been running really well. I have her in the 2nd place spot, but I think that she's a nice filly.
I think when it comes down to a battle in the stretch, you got to go with the multiple winner over the one-time winner.
Okay. Well, that is a very, very sage advice from our man Stephen Skaggs. But we'll go on to the 8th race on the card. It is a maiden special weight event for Florida-bred fillies. It is 5.5 furlongs on the main track, and a couple of scratches, number 3, number 13. And my top selection in there, I went with number 8, Discreetly Elusive, from the Todd Pletcher barn, and Pletcher has 2 in that particular race, but a couple of other horses with some interest. I see that you went with number 4, Hello Rosie, and as chance would have it, we can take a look at Hello Rosie's career debut. She didn't have the best of starts, Stephen. She got off a little bit slowly, and she progressed from there, but that was really a good effort for her.
Wow, I didn't even know that. In fact, I thought she was on the lead the whole race. I missed that break. That makes me even more impressed with that effort. I thought she did all the running that day. Granted, it was a maiden 65,000 race. I like that she's a Florida bred company today. If you look at that race, they went 110 and change. That's fast for 6 furlongs. She was a firster that day. She went to 5/8 and 57 and change. Was in the lead at that point. Today's 5.5. I liked her even more after watching that video.
Yeah, I sure do as well, and so we both used her in our top selections. But anyway, in terms of, as we were talking about the Todd Pletcher horses, the Discreetly Elusive, she's the one with the experience edge of the 2 Todds in there, and she was a second. She was beaten only a half a length in that latest start. But Todd also has number 11, Lucasta, a 3-year-old filly by Dunkirk, and I'm not really so thrilled with the Dunkirks first time out. Their numbers really don't support it. It's under 10%. It's about 7%. And I understand, it has to do a lot with, who's got these horses and where they're training. However, not particularly known as a first out sire.
Right, and they might need a little bit of more ground, Dunkirks. They might be losing if they're running in 6 furlong races and want to go a mile. A firster I wanted to mention, Sushan. It's a low percentage first out barn. Tim Hills. This filly by Congrats has done nothing wrong in the morning. If you want to take a shot with the firster, Leparoux's worked her a couple times. He's familiar with her. She might be half the price of 12-1, but I don't know how good she is. I don't know how fast she is, but she's beat her stablemates every week, and I expect her to run forward in this spot.
Perfect. On to the 9th race on the card, which is a 62.5 allowance optional claiming event, 7 furlongs on the main track. I went with number 3, Plenty Elusive, coming into this race off of a victory January 16th. That was a 25,000 allowance optional claiming event, one other than. So stepping up in company, but I see that you went in a different direction.
Christina, there's not a horse in here that wants the lead. There's no confirmed front runner. So I'm hoping the 6, Integrity, trained by Chad Brown, ridden by Javier Castellano, can get the jump on these horses. He won here last year, very impressive at Gulfstream Park at this distance, first time out. So I'm not worried about him coming fresh. I'm not worried about the layoff. I like him at this distance. And if he can take control of the race early, I think he wins.
Yeah, and he's been running against some really nice horses as well. And Plenty Elusive also has a win over the track. And, that current form is just so important. But what do you do with number 1, Cosetti? And I know I used him in second place last time, but I think he's a useful sort. But he's coming back to the dirt from the turf.
I don't mind him on dirt. In fact, he ran on Travers Day, 7/8 against Braidster and Power World. I think that was a good race that day at 2 other land. 7/8 dirt, not a problem. I just question if the horse wants to win or not. He trains as good as any horse here at Gulfstream Park, but he's got that 2 for 20 record.
Yeah, exactly, which is why I don't have him on top. Moving on to the final race on today's card. The 10th is a 5 furlong turf event. It is 25,000 maiden claiming. And my top selection in there, I went with number 7, So Royal, from the Lisa Lewis barn. And really didn't show a whole lot in her latest start. I'm hoping she's going to revert back to earlier form. But she's also dropping from Maiden Special Weight Company into this race.
Right. The best race of her life was in this company, Maiden 25. I saw the 7 and 9 showing a lot of speed in this race. So I ended up with the horse I thought could maybe get first jump on him. The 4, Jerry with the G, I think will outstay the 7 and 9. And if you look at the 4 races at Arlington and Hawthorne at this distance, this horse was he had 2 seconds in the third out of 4 starts and ran his highest figure. So taking a shot with Jerry with the G in the last, the 4 horse.
Yeah, sure. That is what we have for today's races. And quickly, Stephen, before I let you go, what do you think in terms of what we've been seeing over the weekend? The track has been playing, it's been playing pretty quick.
It's as fast as I've seen it. We've set 3 track records at 1 mile and a 16th within about a month and a half. So I think you want speed, but I think you're going to see fast times. We're going to continue to. It's a warm day, and it'll stay that way.
It will stay that way, and that is all the valuable information from our man Stephen Skaggs, and I will be back the rest of this afternoon with Ron Nicoletti. Folks, don't forget, we do have that Rainbow Six. We're just hovering at around the carryover about $1 million today, so we have so much happening here at Gulfstream. Stick around, folks.